Good morning, good afternoon, and namaste. A very warm welcome to all of you to this session, which is strength training a must after 40? And thank you so much for taking the time out to join us today. I'm Ani Harish. I'm the community manager with MyYogaTeacher. Over the next 60 minutes or so, we're just going to kind of do a sort of deep dive into the world of strength training with our guest expert, Shweta, here. And to make it easy and facilitate this interaction, we've divided this session into 3 segments. The first 5 minutes, which I'm currently in, is going to be a quick introduction to different aspects of the session, including a little bit about Shweta and MyYogaTeacher. And then we're going to get into the core of the session, which is the Q&A with Shweta, which is why all of you are here. And then the last 5 minutes or 10 minutes, as time permits, we will open up the floor to questions from the audience, which is all of you. And then we will conclude the session. Now, coming back to the topic, strength training is not something that's unheard of. We've all heard of it. We all practice it in some way or the other, either in our workout routines or we've at least heard of it. There's been a lot of ongoing noise around muscle loss and strength training, and there's a plethora of content on the internet from influencers and everyone else around this subject. Research suggests that muscle loss and bone mass decline as we age, and a sharp decline in muscle mass is often referred to as, not often, it's actually referred to as sarcopenia. Research also suggests that one of the approaches to combat this decline of muscle loss as we age is to inculcate or incorporate strength training into our workout routines. To just simplify what strength training means, it basically means using any kind of resistance, which could be a body weight, resistance bands, or the dumbbells at the gym, or any such object to kind of help build muscle mass and strength. At MyYogaTeacher, we are on a mission to help everyone start their fitness journeys. And at the same time, we also offer live and personalized one-on-one sessions that are 100% tailored to your individual needs, health, and wellness both. Our one-on-one fitness sessions are also a faster way to achieve your goals, whether you're looking to build strength, whether you're looking to get fit, leaner, stronger, whatever your fitness goals are. On that note, I'm extremely thrilled to introduce to all of you all our beloved strength training expert, Shweta Mangal. Shweta, there's a little bit of story behind how I met Shweta. It was a year and a half ago. I was scrolling through internet and I was looking for influencers to reach out to, or content creators to reach out to in the fitness space. And I happened to chance upon her Instagram account, which is a must see for every one of you who's here. Shweta is a certified fitness expert and a precision nutritionist with extensive experience in helping her clients or her clients achieve their fitness goals safely and effectively. She helps her clients get stronger and leaner by helping them improve their exercise and their eating habits. She also has a buzzing community, which I just spoke about on Instagram, which has got about 60,000 odd members, and which is a dose of inspiration for everyone on her community and otherwise as well. A few important announcements before we move forward. As I already said, it would be great if all of you all can be on mute. And during the course of the session, it'll just improve the quality of the session so much more. You can unmute yourselves at the end of the session when you have questions. In the meantime, during the course of the session, if you have questions, please feel free to post them in the chat box, and Shweta will answer them for you at the end of the session. After the event, as you see on my screen right now, you'll also receive a free recording to the session where you can consume this wisdom again. And for all of you who are attending this session today, we're giving away 2 free one-on-one sessions with MyYogaTeacher's strength coaches to help you learn about strength training in a safe and effective way. On that note, without any further ado, let me first spotlight Shweta, and let me bring her on screen. I'll spotlight myself as well. I hope Shweta and I are visible on the screen. Now give me a thumbs up if that's the case.
Yes.
Perfect. All right, Shweta, I think it's time to dive into the session, which you've been researching a lot about. So looking forward to the session today. Shweta, before I begin, as I said, your Instagram account is a dose of inspiration, not just for your community, but even for someone like me who scrolls upon the different things that you do there. And there are two things that are evident from your Instagram channel. One is your passion for strength training, right, which is very evident. And the second thing that's very evident is your discipline and consistency. There are a lot of posts, especially stories, that you keep posting every day, and you talk about how, despite a busy schedule, you find time to work out, right? But what I'd like to know from you is, was it always this way? Were you always into strength training? Were you always a fitness enthusiast? Or how did you, get into this world of fitness and strength training? And what's your journey been like? If you
So I
can throw
think,
some light.
yeah, I think like with everybody in fitness, they have a story. And it almost always starts with some sort of, mal or bad advice or something like that. So for me, fitness was being as skinny as possible, being as, moving as much as possible, starving myself, feeling guilty. And I started that when I was 16. And till about I was 35, I had two children in that, and I got married and everything. That is what fitness meant to me. It meant starve yourself and just keep moving. I remember doing jumping jacks in the kitchen all the time because, well, I had to burn the calories I ate. But then somebody introduced, and even after that, I did not reach my goal that I wanted to reach. Somebody's somebody in a Facebook group said maybe you should try strength training and also like tracking your food. And I started strength training because what I was doing evidently for like 17, 18 years was not really working the way I wanted it to work. And it changed my life. So yes, I got to my goals that I wanted to, 100% true. But more than that, it really made me, now I go to the gym not because I want to look a certain way or anything. I just like how I feel. I feel strong. I feel confident. Just, and because I felt that, I came to Instagram, I started sharing my workouts. And then people find that, especially women, right? Women, especially of South Asian origin like me, found it really inspiring, and they started reaching out to me, and I was like, hey, I think I should get myself certified. And here I am 4 years later, giving a talk about strength training, which it's like in a way in a full circle moment. But yeah, that's how it started for me. And like I said, it's been very rewarding, and I really believe in, I see how it changes people, and I seen how it changed my own life as well. So yeah, it's been, yeah, I really believe in it.
Inspiring. So from the age of 16, you've been in it. You've been working out, whether it's on and off, with more knowledge probably of strength training over the period of time, but you've been at it from the age of 16, right?
No, I started strength training when I was 35 or 30, like not even
Oh,
that, 37 or 38. I'm 44 now.
okay.
But I started it pretty late. Otherwise, it was just random things like, oh, people said you should do this. Okay, I would do this, or some just random things. But strength training was thing that kind of gave me like a northern star, right? Okay, this is something I can do. I love doing it. It gets me to my goals. It kind of checks a lot of boxes in a way.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Inspiring, and thank you so much for sharing that. Let's get into some basics. So there's, as I spoke about in the introduction, there's a lot of connection between muscle mass and strength training, right? Lots of research, a lot of content, a lot of information. Um, if you can clarify for the audience here, what does age-related muscle loss actually mean? I
Well,
think that will help.
you know, um, it's interesting, but I want you to make me the host. So I share a picture. I have a question for the audience. So if you can make me the host, I want to um, share and show something.
You're already the host. Go ahead and share.
Oh, okay. Okay, I want you guys, if you can, not if you're driving, I see that somebody's driving too, but if you can look at the screen and can you guess what this is? What are the image I'm showing you?
Our brain?
No, it's not your brain, but that's a great guess. Um, let me
Amoeba comes to my mind.
no. So this is,
Oh, I think they're cells.
yeah. So this is, imagine you take your quadricep and you make a slice out of it, and this is a slice out of a quadricep from a young active person. And this is a slice from a quadricep of an old sedentary person. What's the difference? What do you notice different here? What do you think is different in this?
Well, it definitely
Shrinks.
shrinks as we age.
Yeah.
I think there's more muscle in the young one, and the muscle has shrunk in the old sedentary.
Yeah. So let's see. So it's sarcopenia, which is age-related muscle loss. So these are the magnetic images, MRI images through mid-thigh of a 25-year-old healthy adult and a 75-year-old healthy adult. Both of them are healthy, demonstrating sarcopenia. So in the small one, the light gray is the that's the subcutaneous fat around the muscle. The gray is the muscle, and the striations are scar tissue. But if you see the older sedentary person, you'll see there's more scar tissue, there's less muscle, and there's also more fat. So now what is age-related muscle loss? It is in a way a fast lane, or no, it's a slow lane to muscle loss. It is a drop in muscle, increase in fat. And it's a process where we lose muscle. It's a natural, normal process of aging. We lose muscle because our body does not produce enough protein. So what that does is it decreases the cell size, but also the number of cells. Let me show you this image here. So after this, I promise I'm not presenting anything. So this is the total number of fibers present in the quads of men between the ages of 18 and you can see that till the age, so decline usually starts at the age of 30, and from the age of 30 to 50, there is a pretty slow gradual decline. But after that, it kind of decline starts pretty rapidly. So these are just some images I wanted to share, like what is muscle related, age related muscle loss. So here, that's your answer. It's just a decline, and there's a lot of reasons for it. Yes, our hormones and all are there. There's also a theory that our genes were programmed for muscle building, repair, and were programmed during the Paleolithic age. And at that time, of course, we were more active, people, they were hunters and gatherers. So our genes were programmed in a way that they needed to be broken and repaired to continue building and maintaining muscle. But with our sedentary lifestyle today, our genes don't really, our lifestyle doesn't really support that. But some modern day hunters and gatherers, which you'll find in tribes around the world, their rate of muscle loss is still slower than the average sedentary modern person. Any questions, Anirudh?
No, I think that's scary at the same time. Pretty important to note that something needs to be done to kind of combat that. So
Well,
yeah.
another, as I was researching, I came through another data that grip strength. So what this research paper, what they did was they tested grip strength for people between 40 and 50 years of age. And 30 years later, they tested their grip strength again. And irrespective of weight, whether they were thin, whether they were overweight or obese, the thing that predicted mortality was the loss of strength. So the less strength people had when they started, they had higher rates of mortality at the age of 30 years. So yes, I mean, it's muscle is, yes, it makes you look pretty, and it's about muscle size, but it's also about strength and power. That's really contributes to a good quality of life as we age. And yes, why is muscle loss important? Because it really, I work with a lot of people in all areas of like sections of life. So I have worked with somebody who's 20 and studying, and I worked with somebody who's 68 and kind of going through, she was a physical therapist and going through all the things as well. And yes, people who are in the throes, I myself am in the throes of perimenopause. I have severe brain fog right now. So like it's somewhere in the middle as well. I've worked through them. And what happens is as we age, our quality of life deteriorates, right? We are not able to do a lot of daily functions like we used to. We become dependent. There's a lot of risks of falls and loss of balance, and then which could lead us to nursing homes and hospitals and that. So for all of that, yes, for a lot of other things, but just for that quality of life and being independent, maintaining a muscle mass as much as we can, I believe is really important. Yes.
Great. Thank you for that. Which brings me to my next question, which is, so we've seen what muscle loss is and what happens as we age. So how does strength training help combat this decline and or sarcopenia, whatever you want to call it? How does strength training actually work? If you can give us like maybe 3 or 4 pointers and how that helps.
So again, right, like I told you, strength training works, and it's a multifunctional solution to a multifunctional problem. Because yes, strength training helps with muscle loss. It helps you prevent muscle loss as much as you can. But it also helps with sleep. It affects with, like depression. It helps, like I said, it helps people feel confident. It helps in a lot of different ways. That's just not muscle loss. And a lot of the way people lose muscle, yes, it could be genetic. Yes, it is age. But when we kind of do resistance training, that way we have a little bit more control than we think we do in how our, like, doing your best so that you age well in your as you grow older, you are more, like I said, active, and you stay off the hospital bed and out of nursing homes in a way. So how strength training works is, like, for example, when I'm when I'm doing a bicep curl, so my bicep shortens and then it lengthens. And when my muscle lengthens, it creates this micro tears in the muscle, which when the muscle kind of, it leads to a little bit of an inflammation, and when the muscle is repairing, it builds a slightly bigger version of itself. So that's how you build muscle, by all of this micro tears that's going on. So when you're not giving your body that, that kind of movement, or that, I'm forgetting the word. I'm literally, like I said, brain fog. I'm fogging on that word. That stimulus was the word I was looking for. Then that synthesis or that does not really happen. So yes, strength training kind of helps with that as well. It can help. Like, your question might be, Shweta, but what about somebody who's never strength trained and now they're 60 and they want to strength train? Yes, you can, mitigate a few. It will not be like, your body will not become like, oh, now it's like when I was 20. No, but you will still be able to gain some strength and some muscle mass. Just, even though you start late, you still will be able to kind of make progress and live a better quality of life. And also, another research I was reading, there were people who were between 60 and 70 years of age, and they researched more than 100,000 people. And people who strength trained or worked out, let's say, more than anywhere between 2 to 6 times a week, had less causes of all, like less incidences of all cause mortality. So, I mean, there's reason to move your body, right? I really believe our bodies are like machines. Now you take a sewing machine, you don't move it, you leave it in a corner. What's going to happen to it? It's going to have like all rust and, so yeah, we need to move our body because it's a machine at the end of the day.
Right, absolutely. It's a machine at the end of the day and we need to move it. You touched upon this age thing in your previous answer. So coming back to that, so what do you think about someone who's, let's say, 37, 38 years old and has never done strength training before? Is it safe to get started at that age, which is closer to 40? And what about someone who is probably already 40, has been doing it? Is it okay for them to push themselves harder when you talk of strength training?
My question, again, I'm going to ask you a question. Why do people only have this problem with strength training? Why don't they say, can I drink? Can I continue to go to parties? Nobody asks that question. We only talk about this when it comes to strength training. But also, most of us are carrying things in our life, right? Like, I'm going to the grocery store, I'm bringing groceries, I'm carrying my parents' expectations too. So I'm always lifting in a way, in a lot of things. So it is totally safe. And there is no age. Age is just a number. I mean, even at somebody who's 75 can start strength training. Yes, but there is a caveat to it. First, you need to talk to your doctor, make sure it's safe, get a clearance from them. Then I would, work with somebody like a trainer or somebody, especially if you've never done it, to really figure out what is your goal and make a plan according to that goal.
Makes sense. Following this with another question, which is on the similar lines, which is, let's say there's someone who's closer to 40 and he or she is looking to get started with strength training, right? So would you say, so when you picture strength training, a lot of people have this, the first image that probably comes to everyone's mind is dumbbells or a gym or a scenario or a vision like that or a picture like that. So would you say someone who's just starting out and is probably around 40 years of age, can they start doing it with their own body weight? Probably a form of yoga, probably something that's just to use with their body weight, or does it have to be with external weights always?
No, if somebody has, everybody is different. I would definitely start people, like for my own, even for my own husband or for my own kids, I would definitely start them with body weight first, because you don't want them to run away. A lot of people don't respond well to pain. And yes, when you're moving your muscles in the way you're not used to moving them, you will feel the muscles you did not even know you had. So it might not be a bad idea to start with body weight exercises, understand the movement patterns, make sure you're doing them effectively. Make sure, like when I'm squatting, I'm supposed to use my, my glutes and my legs, and I'm not using my lower back. So make sure I'm using it effectively and safely before I progress on to, using maybe resistance bands or dumbbells or maybe barbells as well later on. So yes, it's not a bad idea for sure.
Okay, great. So a good starting point could be to use one's body weight and get started, right? That's the conclusion. Okay. What is your take on if there are any specific exercises or routines that are more effective, for people over 40 in building muscle? Are there any specific routines or exercises that you suggest?
So, basics always work, whether you are 17 or whether you're 70. That's the same exercises. There is no glamour to it. You don't need to confuse your body. Basics work. There's this 5 or 6 basic movement patterns that we'll need to do day in and day out, and they work. My recommendation to somebody who's starting newer when you're a little bit older would definitely be focus on warm up and cool down, right? Like somebody who's 17, my son is 19, he can go to the gym, run and go out. I cannot do that. I need to warm up my body a little bit, make sure, I'm ready to do that sort of work, and then cool down as well. Kind of make sure yoga is a great addition along with strength training to make sure I'm stretching the muscles I need to and stuff like that. So making sure we focus on warm up, cool down, making sure we focus on multi-joint exercise. So what that means is, instead of I want to lose my arm fat, so let me just do bicep curl. This is an accessory move. This is a single joint exercise. But a multi-joint exercise is something that uses your entire body, right? Like a squat, like a push-up, or like a row or a lunge. So focusing on that will get you more bang from your buck than kind of doing a 10-minute arm workout. I'm not saying no, don't do that. There are some times when that's the only time you have and that's the only thing you can do. But if you have 10 minutes, I would rather you do 3 sets of squats than 10 sets of arm curls, like bicep curls in a way. So yes, like I said, warm up, cool down. There is just basic, simple exercises that we kind of do, and that's it. I mean, there's no special consideration. Yes, when people get older, the focus shifts from in a way from also building muscle to maintaining balance. So as people are older, when we train, the training is a little bit more different. There is more single leg work that's done, because a lot of people falls not when they're going down, but when they're going up as well. So how to climb stairs with each leg. So training differs as we age, but for somebody who's 40 years old, you can start with the basics again.
And if I add gender into that mix, if I say, how does that differ for men and women? Would that completely change? Or would that still be
what do you think?
Along the lines of what you said?
What do you think?
I mean, if it's the basics that you're talking about that you just said, then I think it should kind of be the same, but I'm not too sure.
You're right. It is the same, but men want to generally train more of their upper bodies. They like that Tarzan look. They want to train their chest and biceps and triceps, and women like to train their lower body. We want to train our legs and glutes and all. So depending on our goals, there is no, again, one size fits all. A lot of women don't like to train their chest, and that's okay too. But According to gender, does it differ? Not really. It comes down to your preference at the end of the day.
Comes down to preference, or does it come down to also the goals that each one has set out for
Preference
themselves?
and goals and all, right? Like if I don't, preference and goals. Like I don't prefer to train my chest, so I won't train my chest, even if I'm 10 or 20 or 40. But I prefer to train my legs. So yes, I'm going to do maybe 3 leg days and 2 upper body days or something like that. So just the exercises remain similar, but how you train, the number of reps, the number of sets, the number of days can be different. And that's not necessarily based on gender. That's based on the amount of time you have. Practical. We have to be practical as well, right? The amount of what's your goals and stuff like that as well.
Okay. All right. I think just to do a small segue, I have a few more questions for Shweta, but I just thought this question from the audience is kind of interesting. Anupama has this question where she says, is lifting weights at home with common household items same as using dumbbells, or does it really differ?
So again, a good question. During COVID, a lot of our clients were using soup cans for workouts. So, at the end of the day, it's about the resistance that you get. Let me explain it to you in a way. For example, any workout you're doing, it's prescribed to be 8 to 12 reps. Now, if you're using something like a soup can and you can do 30 reps, that means the weight is a little bit lighter for you. But if you're using something heavier and you can do only 5 reps, that means the weight might be too heavy for you. So it's like the Goldilocks sweet spot where, it should not be too heavy. We should be able to kind of do the number of reps that are prescribed. But at the same time, if like COVID, if that is all you have, we still can get good results by fatiguing the muscle. So if you're using a soup can and your coach says only do 8 to 12 reps, but you're able to do 30 reps, then do those 30 reps because, that is when we can fatigue the muscle, which will help build the muscle in a way. So there's no difference. It's just that the amount of weight you want to use, the resistance might change. And if you're an advanced lifter, you might want to use more weight. So maybe the home stuff like backpacks and soup cans might not work.
Anupama, I saw your question. We'll come back to it at the end of the session. You had a follow-up question and speaking about that. Shweta, moving on, let's talk a little bit about lifestyle diseases, sedentary lifestyle. A lot of people working from home, in front of screens. There's a lot of lifestyle conditions that we're all getting into, like diabetes and hypertension and things like that. How is strength training even an option for these people who have been diagnosed with any of these diseases? First of all, yes or no? If yes, what are the limitations, or what do they need to be careful about? In many ways.
So the option is yes, but again, caveat, talk to your doctor first. Only the doctor needs to say, yes, you're safe to strength train. That counts as only then go for it. Now, somebody like diabetes, I worked with people not who have diabetes, but who are pre-diabetic. I've worked with diabetics too, but I'm going to talk about them a little bit. But you can reverse pre-diabetes with strength training. So it responds really well to the insulin resistance and all. It responds really well to strength training, and it is possible to reverse it. Even diabetes, your A1C can be reduced by strength training, especially type 2 diabetes. With regards to something like blood pressure, that's a little bit tricky because in a lot of exercises, a lot of people, what they tend to do is they tend to hold your breath. That's called the Valsalva maneuver. And when you're holding your breath, your blood pressure goes up. So yes, it is safe to strength train. Just pay attention that you're not holding your breath so that your blood pressure doesn't. And usually if you're working with a trainer, they will know, they will tell you this, but it's totally safe and recommended that like I said, at any age, strength training, it really, really helps as well with the lifestyle diseases and stuff like that. It just makes your body more efficient also.
Good to know. Great. Shweta, what about sports injuries? There are a lot of people who have runner's knees or tennis elbows or other issues with their ankles and feet. So, what are the limitations there, and how can one still incorporate strength training into their routines First of all, is it possible? If yes, then what are the caveats there?
What usually happens with sports injuries are they are overuse injuries, right? That's why they're called runner's knees, because they are just using their knee so much while they're running, a tennis elbow and all of that. And what happens is when there's an overuse injury, you're using your body in one pattern repeatedly. So there is no balance, right? A lot of gymnasts as well, they tend to get injured because they're just using their balance in one plane of motion possibly, or doing one thing repeatedly. Like even somebody who's playing tennis, or they are just doing left and right repeatedly. So the front and back motion, the muscles which kind of do that work might not be used. So in to avoid all of that, having a good strength training routine, if somebody is a golfer or a runner or whatever, will really reduce your chance of injury, and b kind of make it, like if you're running and you're strength training in a way to make sure your legs kind of work with less oxygen as well, so you're more efficient with your running as well. But now, okay, I already have a runner's knee, what do I do? Yes, first I would do is go to a physical therapist. They will try to figure out what is going on with your body. Why is your body cranky? Why is your knee hurting? Possibly your quads are tight. Possibly your glutes are weak. So then they will kind of give you, uh, okay, you overuse your quads a lot. So let's kind of take it back from quad workout, and let's just stretch out your quads, foam roll your quads, and let's strengthen your glutes and possibly your abs as well. So let's kind of strength train with your glutes and your abs, which with more focus on there to help your knee and help it get better. It is totally, growing up, when you have pain, doctors would say go and rest, but now it's changing. It's movement is medicine, motion is lotion. That's what people say. So movement definitely helps a lot more than just stopping movement. So my daughter was playing tennis and she sprained her ankle, and we took her to an orthopedic, and the orthopedic put her in a boot and said no movement for 3 days. But I have a friend who's a physical therapist. She saw my story on Instagram. She said, do not put her on the boot, bring her to me. And I took her to her, and she had my daughter remove the boot and walk. She gave her a few exercises because now the boot is just a band-aid on the injury. But why did she injure her ankle? That's because her calves are tight. So we really worked on, hey, why are her calves tight? So we kind of worked on making sure she does some work on the quads so that they're not as tight, and um, kind of lengthening her quads and stuff like that as well.
Great, good to know. Shweta, in general, you work with a lot of clients, so you probably have seen this scenario quite a few times in your career. What advice do you have in general for people who are either new to exercise or returning to it after a long time? Because because I am someone who's been on and off with respect to my workout routines, right? And I find it difficult when I come back to it after a long time, maybe let's say 3 months or 6 months, or whatever time I take. And I'm sure a lot of people go through this. So given you work with a lot of clients, and I'm sure that a lot of them have these issues, what advice do you have generally for people who are returning to it after a long time?
So
What should they do?
I will tell you what to do as well, but also I want to say, um, most times, and this might not relate to this like aging thing as well, but most times people don't do the things they need to do because they think, oh, I need to eat 1,200 calories and I need to eat I need to work out 6 times a day, otherwise I fail. And that leads to this all or nothing thinking, which makes us say, hey, I need to, if I'm not doing this, what's the point? I might as well not do anything at all. But instead of that, practicing and always something thinking, okay, like instead of being on the wagon, off the wagon, instead of the wagon, thinking of it as a dial. Okay, dial 5 is when we want to be able to live life, and we want to make fitness a part of our life. So, okay, dial 5, my fitness can be a dial 5 when I have more time, when, life is in maintenance mode. Then now I can maybe focus on my fitness. Now I can maybe, yes, work out 4 to 5 times a week, and I can, track my calories and whatnot. But sometimes, like I said, the kid poops on the floor and the dog walks all over it. And I mean, life happens at that time. Okay, I'm going to have my dial at a 1. And what does that mean? That could just mean, hey, I park my car far away and I walk to work, or I'm going to make sure I eat a fruit or a vegetable with every meal. So when it comes to fitness and health, practicing an always something mindset over an all or nothing mindset can be life changing. Because what it does is it gives you confidence. It's like, oh, look at me. My life is so sucky, but look at me showing up for myself. Also, right? Like so that's really important. Second is being realistic as well. Now, if I'm saying I'm going to work out 4 days a week, but I know my life is crazy and I'm not able to work out 4 days a week, I'm going to set myself up for failure. And then I end up getting 2 workouts and I'm like, oh my God, I suck. Look at me. I'm such a failure. I got only 2 workouts in. But I be realist and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get 1 workout and I'm going to try to get 1 workout in this week. And then I go and get 2 workouts in, and then I'm like, look at me, I'm such a badass person. I got 2 workouts in this week, though my goal was 1. So all of these things, right? Yes, weight loss and all of this is calories and macros, but mindset plays such a huge part in it. So first thing is, like trying to be realistic, being kind to yourself, love yourself. And that's why take care of yourself, not because you hate yourself, and always something. That's the number one thing. Number two is, like I said, start small. It's okay. Everybody starts the journey somewhere. Don't compare yourself to somebody who's been doing something for 20 years. Like I'm a stay-at-home mom. Yes, I am fit, but if I compare myself to somebody who's like 44 and a corporate like a whiz, then I'm not doing myself a favor. But also I want to say is, I want to again ask you a question, Anirudh. If you want to make rajma, for example, how do you make rajma? Or like
You,
I'm going to say kidney beans. How do you make, like, if you want to make red beans, how do you make it?
I think you start with soaking the beans overnight. That's the
Yeah.
first step.
Yeah.
Then I think the next day, once it's, I don't know, soaked up, you use a pan, put some oil, put some spices, chop some onions, tomatoes, add
You
the
know
beans
that,
in.
right? So you
That's
have
what I
a
said.
recipe to make that red beans. Will you go to the kitchen and bang some pots and pans and imagine that, oh, my red beans is going to just come up here? No, you won't. So even here as well, if you want to do something, have a plan. Don't just randomly, follow WhatsApp University or something that somebody's saying. Like, okay, my goal is I want to make red beans. So how can I get to that goal? Having a plan will help you get there. So maybe work with a trainer, or chat gpt might do it for you. Just kind of have a plan, start somewhere, go slow, take it one day at a time, and do your best every day. That's all I'll say.
Agreed. I think I like what you said, mindset above all or nothing, because for me it is usually all or nothing. That's how it's been. But I think I like the
You
mindset
are not
approach.
alone. I mean, that is my bread and butter. I love strength training, and I was training 15 people for free when I started, like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, when COVID started was when I got certified. And I was like, okay, I want to start working, but nobody was hiring. And I'm not somebody who can fake it till you make it. I needed to work as an intern somewhere, and people were like, nope, we are not letting anybody come into the gym. So I hired a mentor, and through Instagram, I was working with 15 women for free. And I thought, I just need to give them a plan and they'll follow through. So there were 15 women. I gave them calories, macros for free. I was paying a mentor, and I was paying for an app, and it was free. And out of 15, only one showed up, like to do the things that she needed to do, get to her goals. And I was like, it was a aha moment for me. I'm like, what people, why are they not doing it? And that led me to this path where I understood, all of these thinking traps, and and it is life changing. And once you kind of explore that, and a lot of women we work with, all or nothing thinking is like the bread and butter of my job in a way.
Shweta, is there a story that you can share along these lines that you just spoke about? Is there a story of a client of yours that you can share with us? Probably that's inspiring for everyone in the audience.
Do
Someone who's
you
probably
want to talk about like some menopausal or muscle
anything that
loss or mindset or what?
um, I'd let you pick anything that you found inspiring, that you were like, wow, okay, this was a combination of your effort plus the client's effort, but it was really amazing to see the transformation. So maybe something that really shows consistency plus approach plus discipline plus all that.
My favorite moment till now was when a client messaged me and she said, Shweta, my son and I used to eat chakli every evening. Now I eat Greek yogurt with fruits, and my son eats that with me as well. So, in a lot of ways, when we take care of ourselves, and especially because we love ourselves and not because, oh my God, I hate myself. Now imagine there's a 3-year-old child who's not giving you the behavior you want him to give, and then you beat him up. You're like, oh my God, you suck. Now you need to go and do. Will you get that behavior? You won't. But you get that behavior by like, hey, what's going on with you? Hey, let's figure out what's going on and let's try to solve that problem. So that thing when with her was she really did not. Again, like most women, if I ask in a room full of women here as well, how many of us do not like how we look? All of us will raise our hands. How many of us do not like how we look in photographs? All of us will raise our hands. And for her it was great. And then I currently am working with a woman. She's 36 and she is a reproductive endocrinologist. So her mindset has shifted in a way where if she would be like, oh my God, I'm eating a pizza, that means it is ruined. Now, what's the point anyway? So I'm going to make it a whole weekend, and which can end up in a whole week, which can end up in 2 weeks and a month of me being off the wagon. But now she understands, hey, a pizza, it's just a meal, and there is no good food, bad food. A pizza is food as well. That doesn't make me, doesn't define me. And it has changed how she shows up for herself. It has made her like the person she always wants to be. She's very confident in her skin. She dresses to please herself. So all of that are very great to see. But also I have this another woman I just finished working, wrapped up with. She's 51, perimenopausal. And she was always into cardio, like running, and she's never strength trained before. She started strength training. Her A1C numbers dropped. And she's no longer, like I said, pre-diabetic. And she sends me her progress pictures. You can see a nice, like, it's been only like, I think she wrapped up after 6 months. It takes time to build muscle. But if somebody says you cannot build muscle after 40, I would have shown you that picture, but I can't because of privacy. But, you can see nice, the bolder shoulders being built. Her body is changing even at the age of 51. And that's beautiful to see.
Wow, amazing. Right. Let's load of questions in the chat box. Let me see if I can take one just as a segue here. Anupama, do you want to, if you're in the audience, do you want to ask your question again? Because I'm not sure if I got it right the first time around. It talked about household items, and I think you had a follow-up question in that.
Yeah, sure. I just want to say it because writing is kind of difficult.
No.
I basically do a lot of lifting in the house, like picking up heavy plants, move around, things like that. And I wanted to know if that counts as kind of workout.
Yeah, like if you must have seen the documentary Blue Zones, the at the end of the day, the goal is being active, and gardening and cooking and stuff like that. They are movement. But for when you say exercise or workout, the the dictionary definition of exercise is when you set aside a time to, like to move. So our body burns calories in 4 ways. One is just BMR, which is the number of calories you need just for resting the whole day. Just, like if you didn't move, you're just resting. That is that. Number 2 is by processing and digesting and excreting food. Number 3 is NEAT. NEAT is non-exercise activity. So what you're doing, which is like the lifting and all, that would come under NEAT. But if you want to, would it count as exercise? I love that you're being active, but exercise, it's not this and that. It is this or that. It is this and that. So you could supplement what you're doing. You don't have to do a lot. I would just say 10 to 20 minutes, 3 to 5 times a day, where 3 to 5 times a week, where you just kind of do something more targeted to your goals.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Shweta. Before we open up the questions to the audience, we have some in the chat box, and we'll also ask others to ask, unmute themselves and ask. Shweta, would it be okay to demo a few strength training exercises if possible?
Of course.
Maybe a couple of them. Just, let's say someone is starting out and at home, no extra weights, probably using their body weights or resistance or whatever is possible.
So what I'll do is I will kind of talk about, I'm sure, how many of you, if you can raise your hands or write in the chat, have strength trained before? I'm sure you guys do yoga, so yeah, good job. Looks like most of us have done that. So with strength training, right? Or there is 5 or 6 basic movement patterns. One is the squat, which most of us do every time we sit on a chair or we sit on the toilet, right? We are squatting. The number 1 is a squat. Number 2 is a hinge. So a hinge is when you're like, imagine there's a car door and I'm just using my butt to close the car door. A squat is an up and down movement, whereas a hinge is a front and back movement. So that's the second movement pattern. The third movement pattern is pushing. It could be push up. It could be, like a press or something. Anytime you're pushing something, that's another movement pattern. You use your chest and your triceps for it. And the fourth movement pattern is a pull. So that is when I'm pulling something, right? I'm pulling a chair or I'm doing a pull down or something like that, or I'm doing a pull up. That's a fourth movement pattern that works your back and your biceps. The fifth movement pattern is again a lunge. So a lunge is where one of our feet is one of our legs is on the floor, and this is a lunge. And some people like to introduce or include a 6 movement pattern, which is a carry where, we are kind of carrying stuff around the house, the grocery bags or whatever. That's either this carry or a farmer's carry or stuff like that. So that's the 6th movement pattern. So these are the movement patterns which we want to include in our workout program and do them at least 2 times a week. So we want to like do squats twice a week. We want to do a pull exercise twice a week. We want to do a push exercise twice a week. We want to do a hinge once or twice a week. So things like that. Now, for most exercises, it is totally possible to do it body weight, except when you talk about with your back, right? That can be a little bit challenging. I need a little bit of resistance to pull. I mean, what can I pull, right? I can do a push-up on the floor. I can do a push-up on a wall. I can do a push-up on a chair. But with pull, it can become a little bit harder to do it body weight. But still, I mean, there are ways we can still make it work, but it's a little bit challenging. So would you want me to demonstrate like each exercise or like workout or what?
Yeah, probably any three or four that you can probably demonstrate. That would be helpful.
Let me talk about like the most
probably the right posture. How do you go about doing it? And
okay, when I'm squatting, I want to make sure my, when you say hip width apart, these are our hip bones. This is where we want our legs to be, our feet to be hip width apart, toes slightly pointed outward. We don't want them to be completely out. We don't want them to be in. Toes slightly pointing outward. And when we go down, we want to make sure our knees go over our toes. When I say go over our toes, go in the direction of our toes. So we don't want them to go this way or that way. We want them to go in line with our toes. So we bend our hips and our knees at the same time, and we go down. We go down to as low as we can go and come up. Now, if you're somebody who does not know how low I can go, or who has some limitation in your, like you cannot go down low, or you don't know how low you need to go, keep a chair behind you, go down, touch, and come up. I don't want you to like, we don't sit, that way we lose the kind of the grip on the muscle. The grip is not the right word, but we want to keep, the contraction is the right word. We want to keep the contraction on the muscle. So I'll just go down and come up. A lot of people, either they are just bending from the hip or they're just bending from the knee. We want to use both at the same time, touch, up. This usually works like your quads, your glutes, your legs, the whole legs. Also make your core tight. Like imagine you're going to sneeze and hold it tight, or imagine someone is going to punch you there, and how you kind of brace yourself. That's what we need to focus on, like brace your core. I'm sure yoga people can do bracing pretty well. So yeah, this is a squat. Any questions? No.
I think this was very good explanation. Thank you.
Oh, I
So,
appreciate it.
Shweta, do we have to keep the back straight?
In what way? Can you
That
demonstrate?
when you go down, do you bend or do you stay straight as much as you can?
We try to stay straight as much as we can. Everybody's body is different, right? Our length, our limbs have different lengths. Sorry, I'm new to this thingy, so our limbs have different lengths. So yeah, your head to your tail is usually, in most exercises you do one straight line. So we kind of keep it straight and we go down. But
okay.
if you're doing a hinge, now let's talk about a hinge, right? Like a deadlift is a hinge. So you are kind of going back and front. Squat, you're doing up and down. So your knees and your hips are moving. Even in a deadlift, both of them move, but the way they move is a little bit different. They move front and back. So we want to make sure our core is tight, our lats are locked, and go front and back. This is a deadlift. Now let's also do a push-up, right? I'm going to do a push-up on the chair. Most of us do push-up like this, like, so our arms are like this, and this is what we do. This can damage our rotator cuff, and we do not want that. So keeping your elbows beside you and your head to your toe is one straight line, right? We don't want to do this, and we don't want to do this. We want to keep your head to your toe in one straight line and try to bring your upper chest to the table here. So, and I'm not flaring out my elbows. I'm keeping my elbows close to me, next to me. Push up. And again, like I said, it's one straight line, and it's like you're a taut arrow. Your core is tight, your quads are tight, your body is like kind of all contracted, and you're just going down like a taut arrow. Does it make sense? Are there any other exercises you want me to demonstrate?
Shweta, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I do have a question. So we in our yoga, we do power yoga, where we do the lot of squats, lunges, a lot of holding on our different poses. So that also strengthens the muscle, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's isometric movements, and that does strengthen the muscle for sure. Yes.
Yeah. So I don't need to basically lift the weight.
You're lifting your whole body weight. So yoga and strength training, are they interchangeable? No, they work together. It's like they in harmony to help you get to your goals. But does power yoga, especially if you're using is it strength training? Then I would say yes. Do you need to maybe add other resistance training? Probably.
So
I
if
won't
we
say
add,
yes, I won't say no.
so if we add the weights in the yoga, will that help? The lighter weights?
Sure, you can try it.
Yeah. Okay.
Depends on your goals, right? Like with strength training, the bigger thing is what we call progressive overload. So what that means is you give your body a little bit, your body gets used to something, right? You give it a little bit more push the next time around. So as we keep increasing weight, that's how your muscle mass, it gets that stimulation, and it keeps kind of maintaining itself or even building itself in a way.
So is a progressive overload is a good or bad?
No, it's good. We want
It's
progressive.
good. Okay, sounds good. Thank
So
you.
progressive overload is adding slow weights. Initial with your body weight, Scott, your regular, and then you keep adding 2 pounds, 3 pounds. Is that how?
Yeah, progressive overload happens in a lot of different ways. It could be you do a couple reps extra, right? You can do 10 squats. Now you do 12 reps squats. So you're still squatting your body weight, and it's 12 reps. It can be you add a little bit more weight. It can be you go down slower and come up slower. So you still do 10 reps, but you go them slower. You do them slower.
Oh, okay.
Can be you between sets, you reduce the number of rest you take, amount of rest. For example, if you take 90 seconds rest, you're scrolling on your phone, you cut that down, you do a set of squat, and then in 30 seconds, you go back to doing squat. So that counts as progressive overload as well. It doesn't only because if I were to increase my weight so easily, today I would be lifting 1,000 pounds. That's not how things work. But even a little bit, every time I go and I work out, I try to hold it for a second longer. I try to do 1 rep longer. They all count.
Okay. I think this is how Anuj Punya's yoga class is kind of the similar pattern, like a progressive overload.
Yeah.
Right. So thank you. We have some questions in the chat box. Let's take that up one by one very quickly. I'm aware of the time, and Shweta has the engagements as well. So let's, Ruma, if you're here, do you want to go ahead and ask your question? It's a big one. So if you can shorten that for us, or summarize that, that would be helpful.
Yeah, hi. So my question was related to perimenopause and menopause. We typically go through a lot of hormonal changes, and what was working earlier doesn't work now in terms of exercise or dieting. How does strength training give us a boost on that direction? Does it help with losing weight or toning down? Because hormones just go for a whack at that point.
I hear you. And like I said, I'm going through something like that as well. But when you say it helps, strength training helps mitigate. Yes, at the end of the day, your estrogen is dropping and all of that. And that is not something strength training will help, but it will help mitigate some of the symptoms. You still can keep up. In fact, you might need more resistance to keep up the same amount of muscle that you had. A few other things that help along with strength training, which I cannot talk about enough, which I should have probably talked about before, is food. When it talks, making sure, especially when somebody is perimenopausal and menopausal, the importance of protein goes up. So to get the same amount of benefit, sometimes you might need to eat a little bit more protein than somebody who is 20 might need to eat. So making sure you eat at least 20 to 30 grams of protein in each meal, making sure most of your food comes from, like single source ingredient like fruits and vegetables and grains.
Right.
That is really important. Sleep, hydration, again, they are all really, yes, strength training will add to it, definitely, but the rest as well are really, that's when you can see the whole picture, and that's when you get the best benefit out of it.
Okay, sure. Thanks.
We'll pick another question, Shweta. Mary, if you're around, you want to ask a question about the pelvic floor, kind of interesting, and the extra weights that you're talking about?
Hello. As women and men too, I'm sure, get older, we become more aware of our weakening pelvic floor. And so I don't know, if we want to continue to build muscle, and we need to increase our resistance or increase our weight, how do we do that safely without weakening our pelvic floors?
I love that question. It's a great question. And what I would do is I would work with a pelvic floor therapist. I personally did that as well. So I realized I had pelvic floor issues, which I probably always had when my daughter was 14 years old. Otherwise, you kind of go around thinking this is normal. When you kind of do jumping jacks and you pee a little, you think it's normal, but it's not normal. So I saw a pelvic floor therapist who kind of helped me figure out what was going on. We worked on a plan, like some things, again, it could also be there was some tightness in my right glute which was contributing to it. She gave me some exercises to help. She gave me like a weight. Even their strength training works. So there is a weight which you can I had to it was a vaginal weight that I used, which really helped strengthen and prevent those contraction, like prevent, what do you call it, the weakening of pelvic floor. It definitely strengthened my pelvic floor as well. Even that comes with overload again. So I would start working with a pelvic floor therapist and get an answer to why you are facing what you're facing, which can best support you. Sometimes some movements might trigger things, some things might trigger, and they might help you pinpoint that and avoid it or find a way around it.
Thank you.
One last question before we end. Kamala, if you're around, you want to ask your question, please? I see a question in the chat box from you.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Kamala, and I've been with MyYogaTeacher.com for a little over 2 years. I do a lot of, in one of the teacher's classes, we do a lot of sun salutations. So I'm up to like 54 on each side, 108 sun salutations, and it's building a lot of muscle in the lower body, but not doing too much in the middle body. So, and I also have osteoporosis and scoliosis, more on the left side. So I'm wondering if I am pretty strong, and I'm managing to do 2 hours a day of different types of yoga. So I'm wondering if some strength training could help me target the middle section.
So
Is it counterindicated if somebody has osteoporosis?
First of all, I don't think I can do 108 rounds of this is salutation. So huge salutation to you from me, because it is not easy.
No.
And so let me ask you a question. When you say middle, you mean the fat around your belly?
Yes.
Okay, so you exercise, we exercise to become stronger. Weight loss, fat loss comes from diet.
Right.
So I love that you're strength training, and even the yoga that you're doing. Yes, it counts as strength training, the pushing and all you're doing. And that definitely helps with osteoporosis, because that gives your bones the stimulus to grow. In a research I read, this was long time ago, strength training gives more kind of stimulus than even running for your bones to grow. So you're doing great what you can. If you want to lose weight, lose fat, that comes down to calorie deficit, which means let's say if you're spending 2000 calories a day doing your daily activities, we eat a little bit less than that. One thing I do want to say about a lot of people, especially women, do is, for example, bear with me while I explain this. We had a 2000 calories, and this is my maintenance. This is the number of calories I need to eat to maintain my weight. And my BMR, which is my bed rest calories, are 1200 calories. So even if I'm eating 1800 calories, I will still see weight loss. I just need to be patient. I need to be consistent. Most of us will be like, oh, this is too much food, and let me eat 1300 calories. And then we stop eating, we skip meals, and then we do it for a week, and we're like, oh my God, this sucks. I suck. I can't do it. And then we get back to doing what we were doing. So even if, start slow, start small, be consistent, be patient, and you will get to if you want to lose the belly, calorie deficit, and it comes from food. Again, make sure you eat enough protein, 20 to 30 grams protein at each meal. Make sure you eat good carbs, and they come from whole sources like potatoes, sweet potatoes, rice, grains, and stuff like that. And again, good quality fat and things like that. That definitely will help.
Okay.
That's your question.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Very helpful.
Any other questions?
So Shweta, just eat means by diet, can we control our tummy? Because I thought like tummy, we still have to do the tummy exercises to reduce the tummy, otherwise it won't go. That's
Nope.
a very stubborn fat.
No, so if you want to lose your tummy, number one is diet. It comes down to, again, like I said, calorie deficit. Now, for me, I lose the weight on my face first before I lose the weight on my tummy. So we cannot control
It
where the
happens with
weight,
everybody.
yeah, we cannot control where the weight goes from. The body has its own genetic mechanism or whatever where we lose weight from. But if you want to lose any kind of fat, calorie deficit. We should lift weights, we should strength train, we should do yoga, and we should move our body because it has so many more benefits, and weight loss is not something we should that should not be our goal. But because, like I said, it makes you stronger, it makes you sleep better, it makes you confident, it kind of can help with depression, and there's so many more benefits to strength training. And when you say exercises, to crunches will just maybe hurt your neck and maybe just make you sore in the stomach, but unless you are in a calorie deficit, you will not lose your belly. And rather than crunches, if you have to do any workout, I would rather do squats in those 10 minutes, which will maybe burn a little bit more calories in a way than even crunches would. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
It does.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We've come to the end of this session. Thank you so much. Shweta, first of all, thank you for taking the time out, agreeing to be with us. It was wonderful to hear you share your wisdom, your knowledge, and everything that you've experienced. Thank you for all the information. For any of y'all, for all the audience here, as promised, we have The free 2 sessions that we promised, we'll send that over to you. We also have I'm sorry, I'm missing my words, but we also have
the recording.
Yeah, the recording, correct.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we also have the recording. We also have the recording coming your way. So thank you so much for joining us. I hope this session was informative and you are taking back something meaningful. In the chat box, I've also pasted links of some of our teachers in the platform who are into strength training, like Umesh, Zaim, and people like that. So if you're interested to check out their sessions and train with them individually on strength-related goals, please do take a look. It was wonderful being here. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks, Shweta.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Anirudh. You made me talk about things that I'm passionate about, self-care, aging, and, just fat loss and things like that. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Wonderful having you here. Hope we'll have you again soon. Thanks.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Shweta. Thank you, Ani. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Annie,
Bye.
Annie, did you say you posted the link in the chat to the people who are doing
Yes. If
strength
you go
training?
to the top of the section, yeah, you can see the links there. Umesh, Zain, Namrata, and Neha.
I don't see it, but I'll find it.
Great. Can I know who's this? I can send you an email as well. No worry.
Yes, I would like to know the name also.
Right, great. We'll send an email out. We'll send an email out with all this information. Don't worry.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye,
everyone.
Shweta.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.